Hey guys, I'm Akhilesh and welcome to the FPL Tips YouTube channel. In this video, we'll be taking you through some of the enablers and the budget picks from all four positions who could help you fund some of the more premium options in other positions. Let's directly dive into it. The first man in the list is Alphonso Areola. He's the only goalkeeper in the list. Comes at 4 million, West Ham's number 2 from last season. Had only 2 starts last season, but was also their main keeper in their success in the Europa Conference League. And now that their number one Fabianski is 38 years old, there could be a transition from Fabianski to Areola this season, and expect that to happen. Areola is also the most owned second goalkeeper in FPL this season so far, and at around 25 percentage, and expect him to have more owners come game week 1. There is a chance that he could take Fabianski's place, and surely has the quality which we've seen from PSG a few years back, and he could be your 4 million keeper who could end up starting a bunch of games at some point this season. Let's go to the defenders now. There are 3 defenders who we have picked, and they are also quite highly owned at this point. The first one is Amari Bell from Luton. He had 43 starts in the championship last season for Luton, and he was very important in their success in promoting to the Premier League for the first time ever. And what about Amari Bell? He is a versatile defender, very important for them because they play the 3-4-1-2 formation, and Amari Bell can play as left centre back, as also as left wing back. And because of his versatility, he's very important to Luton, and expect him to start most of the games this year also. He's still very young and with a lot of potential, and this could be his dream chance to play in the Premier League. And he would also be raring to go in the Premier League, as well as one of Luton's main players, available at very cheap 4 million. And he is the prime 4 million option for you to have in your FPL team this season. The secondary option which we are looking at is Jordan Bayer from Burnley, a ball-playing defender who was also very crucial in Burnley's promotion last season, Burnley's success with 100 points in the championship under Vincent Kompany. Burnley are an exciting team now. They are not the low-block Sean Dyche team anymore. They play open football, try to attack. And Bayer, along with Howard Bellis, who's back in Man City, was on loan from there, was very important. They had a solid centre-back partnership there. He had around 29 starts, had a few injuries in the middle, but he was on loan last season from Borussia Mönchengladbach. Burnley have signed him, which could mean that he is a very important player for them. And now he is a Burnley player out and out, and expect him to start most of the games and be an important player for Burnley this season. But one thing to note is that since Burnley are open, they could leak a few goals because they were a quality team in the championship, but they might not be up for it in the Premier League yet. Very interesting to see how they fare in the Premier League, whether they continue with the attacking system or they try and defend against certain teams when required. And the third option defensively in the list of 4.0 defenders is George Baldock. Historically a decent FPL option. In the 1920 season, he was the second best defensive option after the out of place Lord John Lundstrom. And now Lundstrom is not anymore there in the club. And Baldock is the one priced at 4 million as the defender. He was playing as wing back. He continues to play as the right wing back for Sheffield. He had 33 starts last season. There is Jayden Bogle as the second choice, who did play in the Premier League also at some point. And he could also share the minutes with Baldock, so that makes him less of an appeal. But still, he expect him to start as Sheffield's main man on the right flank as the wing back. So expect him to start there and might lose his place eventually. But so he is somewhere as a 4.0 option. Bell and Bayer are, in our opinion, the more superior options, but Baldock is also someone who you could look at. So let's go look at some of the midfielders. Unfortunately, this year FPL have not priced too many starting midfielders at 4.5, like they did with Harrison Reed and Andreas Pereira, etc. last season. So now that means we should look at the next cheapest at 5 million to see options that could be in our teams at some point. Most of us are actually going with 3-5-2 formation, which means that not a lot of 4.5 million midfielders are actually owned by teams. But at 5 million, at some point, Josh Brownhill could become an option. Historically, a very more defensive player on the Sean Dyche team, used to be a 4.5 option in FPL as well, but took a long time to score his first goal in the Premier League. But now, last season, in terms of goals and assists, has been his best season in the championship, in the more attacking, exciting Vincent Kompany's team. He is one of their important players, had 41 starts, 7 goals, 8 assists, He's on set pieces, and he has all these exciting stuff about him now. And that means at some point, as a nailed on 5 million starter, 90 minutes, and at some point when teams are shifting their formation, he could be a person who's someone who you could count on when some of your starters are injured or not starting, someone to come off the bench and give you a few points at some point. So he's a good 5 million option in that sense. Looking at some of the other 5 million options, the more exciting ones, but not so starters and such, are three of the midfielders from the top four clubs from last season. Alejandro Garnacho, the 19-year-old from Manchester United, had a lot of few exciting small spells towards the end of games in last season. Did contribute with a few goals and assists. Was very exciting for them in the cup fixtures as well. In fact, he's a very exciting prospect which a lot of United camp and the fans rate. And he could see more starts this season with Rashford probably playing a strike. United still haven't signed a striker so far. So Garnacho could be an exciting option at some point at very cheap 5 million. If you do have some space for a United player in your team, there could be a bunch of games where Garnacho will be starting, and he does have the attacking potential to give you a few points when counted upon. The second player in this list is Jacob Murphy from Newcastle, who also towards the end of last season was starting as the right winger, which is why he has more 90s than both Garnacho and Nelson, who are the others in the list. The matches completed, which you see, is the number of 90s that they completed last season. And Murphy has around 14 90s. He had 4 goals, 2 assists. Remembering the Tottenham 6-1 game, he was he was explosive that game. He was very good, getting in the right wing, taking shots. So like these stuff could be expected from Murphy. Of course, there is Almiron, who was missing at that point of last season with an injury, who could come back. There is also Gordon, who can play as a winger. So there are a few options around there. But Jacob Murphy, when counted upon, is a reliable player who Newcastle have counted upon a few times. So he could be another 4-5 million option with limited game time, but at some point he could chip in with a few goals and assists as well. Nelson, the other exciting 5 million from Arsenal, last season, memorable Bournemouth game, had 1 goal and 1 assist, and also scored a brace against Nottingham Forest, if I'm not wrong. He completed only 2.390s last season, but a very exciting player, which Arsenal rates a lot, and now they're planning to offer him a new contract. So he's not going to be going anywhere else. He's going to be around. But there is competition, obviously. Being the second best team from last season, trying to challenge with City this season, Arteta's Arsenal are like a different breed right now. With Jesus, Saka, Martinelli, Trossard, and also Havertz, who could fill in the striker role or the winger role at some point. There are a lot of options, which means Nelson will again have limited time this season. But again, someone who they rate a lot. So there could be some point of this season where Nelson does start a few games, and at that point he could become a good 5 million cheap option who you could go at. And he does, when he does play, he does contribute to goals and assists as well, similar to Garnacho and Murphy. So these three are the exciting options, but not so nailed options. Coming to more exciting options, actually, with Bournemouth. Bournemouth have signed a new manager who is expected to also be very open attacking, and that means we could see a team similar to Burnley from this season and Leeds from previous seasons, and that means that their wingers and their forwards could chip in with a few goals and assists as well. They could contribute, and that means you have a few options at 5 million to consider. Not sure who will be starting this season. Jaden Anthony, who was there last season, had 11 starts, had 3 goals and 1 assist. Exciting young talent who was coming off the bench a few times as well, who Burnley did count upon last season. Brooks from Bournemouth, I'm sorry. Brooks from Bournemouth as well did play a few games previously in the 1920 season, was quite exciting. Then had an injury, then had illness, which he's recovered from, and now he's back. And he was called as a great talent at one point, and this could be a season where he comes back and breaks through into the team for a second time. And if that's the case, then at 5 million, he becomes a decent option as well. And Justin Kluivert, the son of the great Patrick Kluivert, played in Spain last year, has been playing in different places every season, and now he's at Bournemouth. Last season, he had a decent season, had 6 goals, and he is a guy who has a knack of scoring a few goals as well. And if he does get the nod ahead to start as Bournemouth's attacker, he could be an option as well. But it is worth keeping an eye on either of them. At some point, if they do perform similar to our Leeds level, they could be similar to someone like Harrison, Rafinha, who at a very cheap 5 million option could be a very big bargain in your team. But so they are surely one to keep an eye on. And at some point of the season, when you're shifting your formation from a 3-5-2 to a 3-4-3 or a 4-4-2. And these guys, you know for sure which one of these Bournemouth 5 million midfielders are the real deal for Bournemouth this season, and that means you could bring in some of them. Now going into the forwards, where we also don't have too many options at 4.5, similar to the midfielders. And the option at 4.5 who could be the best is Balogun, who in the French league had a brilliant season, 21 goals and 2 assists. He was very, very good. And he will be pushing the door because he won't be making it into the Arsenal team, which already has like a long list of very good attackers. And Balogun could be moving to another team. If it is within the Premier League, he could be the 4.5 option with also many teams with 3-5-2 formation. He could be the budget pick at the forward. And surely keep an eye on Balogun. If you want to spend that 5 million more at the forward line, Adebayo from Luton Town is an option who had 39 starts last season. He was pretty much their second striker alongside Morris. Last season had 7 goals, 4 assists. So I expect him to start as the second striker this season as well with Luton in their 3-4-1-2 formation. But Luton also have some options for that second striker, where Woodrow is an option and the other guy on the screen, James McCarthy, who is also an option. He was signed from Grimsby Town last season, but went back to Grimsby on loan, 4 goals, 4 assists in League 2. So he could be in consideration for Luton if he does stay at Luton at the start of the season. And if not for Adebayo, McCarthy could be a starting option for Luton. And if he does become a Luton's 4.5 million starting striker, he could become the enabler as well in your teams. So just keep an eye on him as well. That's about it from today's video. If you like the video, please hit the like and subscribe to the channel for more FPL content coming your way. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.